Shalom, family. What I want to do is today I want to talk about Abraham's Abraham and Sarah, but in particular about Abraham's firstborn son, Joktan. We know he had a son. In fact, I didn't know Abraham had 9 sons. I think most of the stories that we hear and we hear people teach on and discuss is on Isaac and Ishmael, but nothing about his other 7 sons or others. Yeah, 7 sons because it's 9 in all. So I'm going to be reading an article dated October 25th, 2008, and it's by biblical anthropologist by the name of Alice C. Lindsay. And if you go check out my channel, most of my videos probably on a lot of her biblical writings and of the characters in the Bible. And as she does her research, she based it on archaeology, linguistic, DNA, migration, and so forth. So anyways, I'm going to start with the article. Abraham's firstborn son. And we know that Abraham came from a ruler priest called Abrutu, or equal Hebrew. And we also know that he come from a caste, what they call caste, which is priest, a priest line. Even his father Terah also was part of that priest line. And what their duty was, basically, they will weigh and evaluate the commodities at the shrine and river shrines among the people in the tribe. So again, it means that Abraham was a priest way before the Most High called him to be Abraham, the father of many nations. So we also know that the Abraham family also comes from, migrated from, West Africa up through the Mesopotamia, up through India. And I also did a study on that too. So anyways, I'm going to start with the article. It says, well, first let me read this. As you see, I have Abraham and Sarah on the picture on my screen. And it says, our beloved forefather and mother, Abraham and Sarah. And the scripture, Genesis 18:11 says, now Abraham and Sarah was old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So Sarah and Abraham was well over their age, past having children. That's what I mean about well stricken. So she was old age. Him and her had befall their stricken age in having children or bringing forth children. They could no longer bring forth Abraham's seed. She wasn't able to bring forth Abraham's seed. And that was the manner of the tradition of women belief back then, that when they got a certain age, they couldn't bear any children anymore, especially when they get well over age, because it says she was old and well stricken in age. So she was old, both of them. But God did bless her with a seed, with Abraham's seed, and she brought forth Isaac. Okay, I just want to make that point, that she wasn't a young woman, he wasn't a young man. She wasn't a middle-aged woman, and he was not a middle-aged man. He wasn't an old woman, and she wasn't an old woman, he wasn't an old man. They was well stricken. It was old. They were way past their barren age. So anyway, let's start with Abraham. It says, Abraham, firstborn son, following the custom of his Horite forefathers, or priesthood. That's what Horite is. Abraham had 2 wives. Sarah was his half-sister wife. Sarah was his half-sister wife, Keturah. And Keturah was the patriarch cousin wife as well. So he had Keturah and Sarah. Sarah was his half sister's wife, and Keturah was his patriarch cousin's wife. And it says that they were allowed to have two wives among the, I guess, that priest line. It says Isaac ascended to the throne of Abraham, and then a firstborn of sister wife. So Joktan ruled in the territory of his paternal grandfather, whom he was named, though Isaac ruled after Abraham. And he was not the first son, but born to Abraham. So Isaac, we know, wasn't the first son. Ishmael, um, um, they say that Ishmael, also Muslims say Ishmael was the firstborn son. So it says the Judean insists that Isaac was the Abraham's first son. Okay, so the Jews believe that Isaac was the first firstborn son of Abraham, while the Muslim insists that Ishmael was the Abraham's firstborn son. And this goes on to say in her article, risking the anger of both Jews and Muslim, my guess, based on the evidence of scriptures, that Joktan was the first in the birth order of Abraham, 9 sons. This means that he was likely born before Sarah conceived Isaac and before Sarah attempted to gain a son by using Hagar as surrogate. So it looked like saying that Joktan was the first son, the firstborn. So there was Hagar, Ishmael, there was Sarah, Isaac, and there was Joktan, which was Keturah. But if you listen to a lot of the storytellings in the Bible, and when you hear people teach, it's always Ishmael first, Isaac, but never mention Joktan or the other 7 sons. So that's interesting. Now we know that Joktan, I'm going to try to show this. I don't know if it's here. Maybe this is it. Yeah. So if he had a son, Joktan had sons after his name or his seed, and they were the southern Arabians. It was Abimael, Amadad, Diklah, Jerub, Jobab, Orba, Sheleph, and Uzzah. So these were Joktan tribes from the son of Joktan from Abraham. Southern Arabian, from Southern Arabia. Now, Southern Arabians, we're talking about ancient people. We're not talking about the people today that's been mixed with every other race. This is most likely how they looked here. So I don't want to read all of that because I'm not really talking about this, but it says the posting discussed the apparent historical foundation of the folklore of the Bible and Quran and demonstrates that the Genesis book concerned the chieftain of Tiham or Tihamah, parts of which was known as Cush. Now we know that Abraham, again, lineage is Sahara, a Nilo-Saharan. His lineage, and he has a connection with the Cushites, believe it or not. So far from my study. But anyway, it goes on saying in the Israel region and the people of Israel, Edom, and Canaan explain the basis of the folklore history of the clans who carried their Afro-Arabian story of the children of Noah or Noah al-Dajjami, called so because of his derivation from the tribe of Dajjerham, good in his word, or Hadharmi, a biblical Hadoran, throughout the peninsula and outside the Arabian region with a period of a couple of thousand years prior to the Christian or Islamic area. But I wasn't trying to get into that. I was just trying to show how ancient Arabians looked back then. And this is how they portray themselves. And there's a lot of pictures on here, online, that you can go and look at the Arabians, the ancient Arabians back then. Now, I'm not saying that they wouldn't come in other shades of color, skin shades, or even the text of the hair. But we know they were melanated people because of the region that they were living in. Going back to Sarah and Abraham, it says Joktan I'm gonna skip down. It says, Joktan is the son of Abraham that most people have never heard of. They think only of Isaac or Yitzak and Ishmael or Yishmael, the two best known. The two best known. Joktan is a somewhat hidden third son. And she goes on to say that we explore the biblical theme of two sons, and now we must consider equally important theme of three sons. Seeing the bigger picture of Abraham people requires looking at all three sons. So basically what she's giving to say is we're talking about Ishmael, Isaac, and Joktan. Then she gives other persistent themes of three sons, which is in Cain, Genesis 4, Cain, Abel, and Seth, and also in Genesis 4, Jubal, Jabal, and Tubal. In Genesis 7, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. In Genesis 11, Haran, Nahor, and Abraham. Then it goes on to say that to this we add the firstborn son of Abraham, Ishmael, by the concubine Hagar. Then we have Isaac by his sister's wife, Sarah, and Joktan by his cousin wife, Keturah. The birth order is not clear, which is strange given the importance of the primogeniture among Abraham people. It says we are not told that Ishmael was born first, but rejected as the heir upon Sarah's insistence, though she had arranged the situation. It is not clear that Ishmael would have been heir to Abraham's office as chief, even if Sarah's scheme had gone forward, especially if Keturah's son Joktan was born first. It says, we are told that Sarah couldn't conceive, but finally bore Isaac in her old age, and her very old age. Meanwhile, the other of the narratives imply that Abraham married Keturah after Sarah died, which can't be the case since it was pattern among Abraham people for chiefs to maintain two wives in a separate household at the northern and southern border of their territory. Sarah was in Hebron and Keturah was in Beersheba to the south. It says that Abraham was recognized as a chief among the people is even in Genesis 23:5, where the Hittites speak of Abraham as a prince of God among them. Now, this is what, let's see, that's not it, right here. Right here is, says Beersheba was Keturah, and the Hebron and Languish was Sarah. This is where they resided. So we're from these two places, Beersheba and Languish, which is Hebron. It says King Solomon was the first king of united Israel. His anointing by Samuel established a monarchy. Okay, so then it goes on to say that so who was Abraham's firstborn son? And then she goes on to say, my guess is Joktan, the firstborn of Keturah, and that Abraham acquired Keturah as a wife when he went to Negev, which is found in Genesis 12:9, after consulting the seer at Shechem, Genesis 12:6. It says, consider the mystery surrounding Isaac. On the surface, there appears to be so little informed about Isaac. Now, this is what listen to what these scholar says, but then they prove themselves wrong in the same writing. It says, consider the mystery surrounding Isaac. On the surface, there appears to be so little information about Isaac, which it is. They would just think of Isaac, and then Isaac. Really, there's no story about Isaac, just that he had a son, Jacob and Esau, and Jacob came to Isaac and pretended he was Esau, and that's basically what you hear about Isaac. And then when Isaac sent him off, when Isaac sent Jacob off because they knew that Esau was going to try to kill him because he took his birthright. It says, consider the mystery surrounding Isaac. On the surface, there appears to be so little information about Isaac compared to Abraham and Jacob. This led some biblical scholars to speculate that Isaac may be a fictional character created to bring the generation. But if that was the case, if Isaac was a fiction, then that means that there wouldn't be no Jacob and no Esau. And then there would be no 12 tribes from the lineage of Jacob. Okay? That's if that was true. And then goes on to say, we may dismiss this theory. No, you should dismiss it. You should dismiss this theory, B, since Genesis provides more information about Isaac than is generally recognized, and what we are given could not have been invented, nor could it be the product of an editor. The key to discovery is the seeking of the hidden third son. The text presents us with the picture of Isaac. He had two wives, as did his father and his father. Rebekah was his cousin wife, to whom he was married shortly before Abraham died. She was, right, so Rebekah was Isaac's wife. She was Isaac's second wife. Let me read that again. It says, the text presents us with this picture of Isaac. So we're talking about Isaac right now. He had two wives, as did his father and his father and his father. So three fathers, three generations. Rebekah was his cousin's wife, to whom he was married shortly before Abraham died. She was Isaac's second wife. Okay. So he was Isaac's second wife. It says Isaac's first wife was a half-sister, and then again, following his father and grandfather, she lived in the area of Beersheba, where Abraham had married Keturah, and where he settled after experience in Mount Moriah, Genesis 22:19. It says Isaac ruled in Beersheba is evidence in Genesis 26. You have to go read the full chapter of Genesis 26 to get that understanding of Isaac ruling in Beersheba, where we are told that he reopened the well dug up by his father between Beersheba and Gerar. This explains why Abraham's servant brought Rebekah to Beersheba rather than to Hebron. Sarah's settlement, according to tradition, Isaac's first wife, was called Judith, feminine equivalent of Judah. So he's saying he had a wife called Judah. So it says that, I guess they're saying that Isaac, and I didn't know this either, Isaac had two wives, Rebekah and Judith. And see, that's how we know that. Well, this is biblical. So this is in the Bible. This is biblical. But for some reason, the narrative is like all Abraham had was just two sons, which was Isaac. Abraham had just Isaac and Ishmael, when he had actually 9 sons, total of 9 sons. And that kind of take away the story about Abraham when you're withholding that kind of information from a story. But I digress. It says, just as Abraham needed 2 wives to establish himself in the land, so Isaac needed 2 wives to maintain his father territory. This explained the urgency of getting Isaac a wife before Abraham's death. The picture becomes, that's even with Jacob, they were trying to get him to get a wife too before Isaac's death. So it's a generation thing, seem like. It says the picture become clear when we imagine Judith and Beersheba and Rebekah in the area of Hebron. We are now able to speculate that Isaac had 3 sons, Jacob, Esau, by Rebekah, and by Judith a son. So he had 3 sons as well. He had Jacob, Esau, and Judith. Wow. So each patriarch, as they went generation, 3 sons. Okay, so I'm going to read that one more time. We are now able to speculate that Isaac had 3 sons, Jacob and Esau by Rebekah, and by Judith, a son who is not, okay, no, by Judith, this is because that was the other wife, or yeah, by Judith, a son who is not named in the text. So that's speculating if he can't prove it. But anyways, however, since the kinship of Abraham people trace lineage through the father and mother, this pushes the line of Judith back several generations. It also established a connection between the Amin house of Terah and the Roa house of Sheba. Revisiting Genesis 10 and Genesis 10 through 26, we find confirmation of this connection. Terah, which is Abraham's father, and Sheba are descendants of Eber, 2 sons, Pegleg and Joktan. Terah descended from Pegleg and Sheba from Joktan. Keturah's father was Joktan, and she named her first son Joktan after her father, as was the custom. Joktan is one of the 3 firstborn sons of Abraham. He is a hidden third son and probably Abraham's firstborn. And this is all, I guess, they're from their research, archaeology, linguistic, migrations. They take all that into consideration when they come up with these writings. But they're interesting, nonetheless. If you want to really go into the article, again, this is by, her name is Alice C. Lindsay. And the title of this article is dated October 25th, 2008. And the title is Abraham's Firstborn Son. So if you want to go, look at the article, because it gives other links also. But I don't want to go to the different links because that's take me somewhere everywhere. So I just want to stay on that one page article. But go ahead and check it out. It's interesting. Some of their speculations and stuff. And to be honest, they're proving it with archaeology, biblical writing, linguistic, even DNA and migration. So again, go check her out. She got some really good, interesting information on her website. I'm not saying I believe everything that's said, but most of the stuff that I've been looking at, and I've been trying to look at also the scriptures and also archaeology and the maps and so forth, she's pretty close. And she seems to be, a person that's just trying to get out the truth and not trying to hide anything, but just trying to be transparent about her work. So again, her name is Alice C. Lindsay. Go check her out on her website. Again, it's Abraham's Firstborn Son. And to be honest, the whole article, she has a list of articles. I mean, tons of articles. You all check this website out. It's called Genesis Through the Lens of Anthropology. It was first founded in February or March 21st, 2007. So you may want to go ahead and check her out. I'm going to go ahead and end this. I say shalom, and you all have a blessed day.